Good evening, everybody. 大家好. My name is Heng Sure, and today it is Monday, the 6th of October, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. And it is Sunday evening at City of 10,000 Buddhas. And we are just about to begin our Ten Transferences lecture, the Avatamsaka Sutra. I hope you are looking forward to that because that's what's about to happen here. Glad you joined with us, and let's get started in just a second. 今天是10月6号，10月初6。我叫亨氏，今天晚上在美国是5号10月初5，我们准备讲解大唐广佛华严经十回向品佛学讲座，欢迎各位来参加。今天晚上 Elaine 准备请法，我先把我这个引磬敲3下，然后呢，各位可以跟我来行三闻熏礼然后 Elaine 就来请法。Okay, Elaine is our Dharma requester tonight from CTDB. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times, make 3 half bows, and you're welcome to join me. Here we go. 一闻熏，再闻熏，三闻熏。Okay, Elaine, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead.
恭听大德僧听，为此法会集一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱失，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attempt bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto sucedoye alahadi samya samputtoshe.
Namo sadanto sucedoye alahadi samya samputtoshe.
Here we go. Let's see here. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons, but now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 好的 Elaine, appreciate the Dharma request. Thank you for that. We would like to invoke the spiritual presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So we're going to make some musical noise to welcome them in. 我们殷请华严海会佛菩萨、天龙八部护法三圣莅临道场啊。南无大方广佛华严经，华严海会佛菩萨。南无大方广佛华严经，华 And we also would like to respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people, the Gombe language region. There's the Pomo people, city of 10,000 Buddhas. We would like to respectfully acknowledge the Pomo people who practice their spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. They called it Yokeo, we call it Ukiah Valley. Today, we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们恭敬地承认 Pomo 人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬。并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's lie is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众山传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪我后德。Okay, done that part. All right, hope everyone is well tonight. Who is with us? We are hosted today by Heng Sure, City of 10,000 Buddhas. Our co-host was Elaine. She made the Dharma request. Also at CTDB. We have Dharma friends from Washington State, from Singapore, from Ukiah, from San Jose, from Talmadge. There we go. From Redwood Valley. Okay, people are filling in their places. I appreciate that. So Redwood Valley and Talmadge, good. Let's see here. Also friends from Los Angeles, from Santa Clara, from Alameda, from Saratoga, from Taipei, from Montreal, from Seattle, from, let's see here. That's Kuala Lumpur. Okay, Agwan is here. From Dublin, from Beijing, from Oregon, from Calgary, from Berkeley, from Union City and Melbourne. South, that's in Victoria, Australia. Alameda, where else? San Francisco, Seattle. From San Jose, Bay Area. San Francisco, Bothell, Washington. From Norway, glad you're here, Petter, late at night. From Ukiah, from Talmadge, from Oklahoma, Alameda, Oakland. Seattle, Virginia. All right, 那就是我们西边这里，东边那儿啊，我们是南边，东边就 Calgary， 还有那里马来西亚啊，还有圣的巴巴拉，台北两位台北朋友，马来西亚哈尔滨、黑龙江、辽宁、黑龙江、安徽是南海。浙江、陕西、宝鸡啊，好啊，安徽淮南市啊，欢迎各位啊，还有张家口、河北from 北京和哪里河南 Okay, good. 北京、广州南方人并不多，不如东北人啊。江苏南京啊，南海海南西雅图、哈尔滨、加拿大，加拿大不算中国。吉隆坡、辽宁、陕西山东、黑龙江。Okay, my goodness. Somehow the spirituality of people in northeastern China certainly is pronounced. My goodness, glad you're all here. All right, let's see here. We are in the middle, well, actually, we're close to the end, truth be told, close to the end of our chapter called the Ninth Transference of the Ten Transferences. And the way the lecture goes is we follow the text, right? Whatever comes up in the text is what we explain, and instead of putting some structure on the top of the lecture, on top of the text, we let the text create the topics, and we just present it, try to be like a camera lens that accurately reflects the light, the Buddha's light in the sutra. So the Ten Transferences chapter, from you would be correct if you said it's a list of vows. It's a list of gifts that the Bodhisattva is making with his mind or her mind. That's correct. And from the earliest of the transferences, they're pretty simple. And they represent the capacity of an early cultivator of this practice, someone who is not that experienced, is making vows for all beings to become Buddhas. It's a really good wish, and that's 100%, nothing wrong with that at all. Now we're in the ninth transference, and the Bodhisattva's vows are profound, layered. You'll see, there are in one vow, one page can hold 3 vows because they're so long, they're so dense, they're so subtle and complex. So that's the interesting thing that we're going to talk about today, is how this Bodhisattva's vows on the ninth stage, the ninth transference, are really represent an expert. This is somebody who knows how to use his or her mind really well to make gifts. So that's what we're going to find out. 讲这品这个华严经的十地品的第9地说错了，哎呀，在哪把我的心呢焦点 ？There we go. 这是华严经十回向品的第9回向正确。我们跟着这个经文来决定讲什么。不是说我们先有个概念，然后让这个经文就跟着我们的思想，不是。就华严经给我们什么法、什么道理什么文什么故事，我们就跟着再解释。就像一个照相机的一个镜头，那个镜头如果它的玻璃清净，如果它做的准正确，那这个佛的智慧光明在经书里边，在华严经就会照到各位的心里，你们听这个解释就可以有个正确的如法的认识华严经的道理。所以就是这个十回商品里边那个第1、第2、第3、第4、第5、第6、第7、第8，就有一种次序， 就说那个回向的愿，菩萨的回向的愿越来越复杂，越来越微细，越来越奇妙啊。那么现在就是第一回向，那个时候菩萨他做的用这个方法是一个方法，他用的是一样，他就说我所修来的功德，我愿意布施给人，布施给众生。有的时候回向愿就我即诸众生皆共成佛道，这样子简单，也是很好很好的，因为他真的去做，所以我们那种的回向愿没有问题了，这个一点的短处都没有。现在第9回向的菩萨，哎呦，你看1个月3个愿，有的时候1个月30个愿。现在每一个愿，每个回向愿非常复杂，哇，有好几层啊，好几layers， 很多，就说我的词不达意哈，我的中文不够。My Chinese is running out here trying to describe the quality of these vows。没关系了，大家就会听得懂我的道理哈。Okay, let's begin. Here we go. We'll start right here. 以无着无复解脱心，勤修普贤诸根恒愿，得总利根，调顺根，一切法自在根，无尽根，勤修一切善根，一切佛境界平等根，受一切菩萨不退转机，大精进根，了知一切佛法金刚界根，一切如来智慧光照金刚眼根，分别一切诸根自在根，安立无量众生与一切智根，无边广大根，一切圆满根，清净无碍根。All right, that's my point. That's a vow. That's one vow. You couldn't do that in one breath. So he had to, when this bodhisattva decided to practice generosity with his mind, he knew what he wanted. He knew how he wanted to send this out. This is an essay. It's a Dharma talk that he is giving, okay? He says, I want to take my merit and virtue and give it with this wish. May all, and that means all beings, diligently cultivate Samantabhadra's conduct and vows, practices and vows, regarding all qualities, roots, with a liberated mind free of attachments and bonds. Okay? So that's the boilerplate. Even so, it's still different. We've had Samantabhadra's practices and vows as a theme coming along here. And liberated mind free of attachments and ties, bonds. That's the unbound, unfettered, liberated mind. Here he says, may they all get things that have to do with Zhugan. There it is. That's our theme for this vow. Now, gun is a literal picture of a tree and the phonetic. That's a tree, so it's the root of a tree. The thing that holds the tree in the ground, keeps it steady, sturdy, so when the wind blows, it doesn't blow over. Furthermore, it's the way the tree feeds. Above, the leaves take in sunlight and moisture. Below, the roots take in all the nutrition from the soil and send it out to the other trees as well. Communicates with the forest and takes the groundwater, drinks, right? So that's a root. Now, in humans, this is, he wants people to get roots. Well, not like who was the author of the blockbuster bestseller Roots, talking about African American experience in the South during the time of slavery. Alex, forget his name. Wonderful book, made a good film too. It's not that kind of roots. It's also, this is the same word that is used to mean faculty, sense faculty. So eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. Not that either. That's why translating this as roots is probably not the best idea, because you think of tree roots and then you think of the book, if you read contemporary English literature, it's neither one. It's qualities, wholesomeness, goodness. And you'll see that this is, I mean, if you want to have a pictorial mind, symbolic mind, yeah, it's good roots means things that connect you to the soil of humanity, maybe the planet. That's why it's not a deep going metaphor. When you say good qualities, wholesome values, those fundamental aspects, you could even say, of humanity, that's when it starts to work. Okay, so keep that in mind. 一无照无复解脱心都一样的，所有60个愿都这样子，用这个同样一个依据。可是第二句呢，很多就有跟普贤菩萨有缘的，是连贯跟普贤菩萨连贯的什么方面？在这次呢是勤修普贤诸根恒愿。这个根哈，大家看看那个汉字，左边是一个木字边，右边是那个声音根。意思如果我们知道树木，那就知道这是一种比喻。这并不希望受回向的愿、回向的功德，这个人呢就会开始下根在，不能离开这块地，就像一棵树，不是这个，是一个比喻。人也有根，父母是每一个人身体的根本。对了，还有什么可以说六根眼耳鼻舌身意也是这种的根，两个都不是这个根的意思。普贤恒愿诸根普贤诸根恒愿什么意思呢？就说好的部分，善的部分。中文应该有，可以说方面，也可以说德，也可以德，在这个时候这个功德，那个德恒就也可以差不多有关的。所以英文翻译成 roots 不是很好的，可以说就说父母是人的根本，没有错，也不对了，也不是这个意思。在佛教里边，在这个华严经里边，善根就是说这个人的好的这一方面，他的特别有德的方面特别有这个好处那方面，就是这个意思。所以我不主张翻译 roots， 大家都会想到树木，我都会想到这个六根身体的六根，两个都不是。Okay, so anyway, all right. So now this is, why do we still use roots? Well, I didn't translate this chapter, but it can mean, it is a metaphor. It's a metaphorical use of the idea of roots. But we have other words that are better, qualities, wholesome qualities. Okay, let's take a look. May they attain, I hope living beings will get, qualities such as intelligence, keen compliance, keen compliant character, characteristics, 也可以. Qualities that are an ease in the world, that are not uptight. Not roots. Roots at ease within all phenomena? Makes no sense. Countless roots, many, many good qualities. Roots that diligently cultivate good roots, right? Qualities of their humanity that leads them to do further goodness. There you go. Roots identical with the Buddha states? No, it's not right. Qualities, characteristics that are those that share the goodness of Buddhas. Roots of great vigor that bestow on bodhisattvas the prediction of irreversibility. Let's take a look at this. 受一切菩萨不退转其大精进根. No, this is not correct. So it's, what is it? It's vigorous root, a quality, characteristics of vigor. So a vigorous quality to their nature that puts them in line to receive a prediction that an irreversible prediction that bodhisattvas receive. It's not that they do the bestowing of the prediction, right? So it's quality, a characteristic, or the habit even. You could even use the word habits here. It's the characteristic of vigor that puts them in line to receive. So that is characteristic of the reception of. Because the way this is translated, it's good roots that bestow. They become the bestower. And that doesn't make sense at all. Okay. Roots of the Vajradhatu. I'm not clear that we use Vajradhatu. I've never heard Shifu talk about that. Typically a Tibetan or a secret school approach, Qinggang Cheng, etc. So, not that it's wrong, it's just not our translation. Qualities of Fo Fa, Qinggang Jie Gen. Comprehend. Okay, 了知一切佛法金刚戒根. Roots, let's see. Qualities. All right. Qualities that allow those living beings, hope that they attain, qualities that allow those living beings to comprehend the Buddha's Vajra realm. Okay. Roots, okay, qualities of Vajra flames. Roots of Vajra flame. This word just really does not work here as roots. Yeah, so I'll let up. But that's, you get my point. I would retranslate this as characteristics. You don't even have to do a single word. You can do multiple words. Qualities, characteristics, habits, tendencies of mind. So that kind of things that hold them in place. Roots hold you in place. Okay, these qualities are, let's see here, 智慧光照金刚眼. So the Buddha's wisdom light, the Tathagata's wisdom light, ichi rulai 智慧. So qualities that reflect Vajra-like flames of radiant wisdom of the Tathagata, something like that. Okay, roots of self-mastery that discern all roots. Nope, makes no sense. Okay, 自在根. Okay, self-mastery, roots of, let's see, qualities of self, qualities of independence, qualities of self-mastery, qualities of self-mastery that are keen at recognizing wholesome qualities. So it's goodness that lets you recognize goodness, and it puts you in the ballpark that because Shifu would always say, 多做善功德, you got to do more good deeds, do more merit and virtue. Okay, 等一下我就讲完了，我就用英语讲到下边就回来用中文来讲。Okay, next one, roots that settle countless beings in omniscient wisdom. Wholesome qualities that are able to anli, to help others find their way to goodness. Help others find their way to omniscient wisdom. Okay? Vast and boundless qualities. Qualities perfect in their entirety. Let's see, 一切圆满. No. Perfect in their entirety. Does that make sense to somebody? So, good roots, let's see, wholesome qualities that are entirely perfect, that are not lacking anything, right? And unobstructed and pure, wholesome qualities. Okay. 如果把这个字翻译成跟roots 在英文，那就成了很多问题，讲不通的。这种翻译就我们可以再一次啊。好的，意思是说，菩萨回向功德给众生，就说希望他们会勤修普贤诸根恒愿，就从名利调顺，自在于佛法，就无尽。他们知道这个是善的，所以他们继续追求，增长，勤修一切善根，这种的特性，这种的功德，一切佛境界平等根，就跟佛一样，他们在因地的时候还没成佛之前所修的这个善根，希望众生受到我的回向，他们也会这样子认识，然后去积极都去修行。受一切菩萨不退转即大精进根，希望众生就大精进，然后他们都就像谁？就像菩萨受菩萨不退转级别好的时候一样的大精进，希望众生会受到这种了知一切佛法金刚戒根。上人并没有讲金刚戒多少，有五方佛五部佛都金刚戒也有佛所以了知一切佛法这种的修行的方法，一切如来智慧光照金刚念跟这种的功德特别的这个善根，分别一切诸根的自在根，你真的明白修行，佛是万德备，这个德是在自信里边都具足，可是你要把它挖开，把它修开，把它修行，它才能显现。那么你有这种的自在根，你就会知道怎么样修，怎么样做人，这个你的品德都会圆满那么安利无量众生于一切智根，就是你自己会这样修，你也会告诉众生这样修，如何这样修。无边广大根越来越多，越多越好。一切圆满根没有不圆满的清净无碍根，就这样子就修行，就说成功了。Okay, there we go. That's a vow. Good grief. Here we go. This one is about Shentong, not about... we're just replacing wholesome qualities with psychic powers for this one. Ready? Do the whole thing. Here we go. 以无着无复解脱心修普贤恒得一切菩萨神力。所谓无量广大力神力，无量自在智神力，不动其身普现一切佛刹神力，无碍不断自在神力，普摄一切佛刹，治愈一处神力，一身遍满一切佛刹神力，无碍解脱游戏神力，无所作一念自在神力，住无性无一神力，一毛孔中四谛安立，不可说世界，便有法界，诸佛道场，示诸众生，且令得入大智慧门神力。这个愿力，你看菩萨他现在第9回向，他是专家。May all cultivate Samantabhadra's practices with a liberated mind, free of attachments and bonds, acquiring the spiritual strength of bodhisattvas. Spiritual powers, okay, of immense and limitless strength. Spiritual powers are the boundless wisdom of self-mastery. Spiritual powers to appear in all Buddha lands without moving one's physical body. Spiritual powers of unobstructed and uninterrupted self-mastery. Spiritual powers that gather in Buddha kshetras and place them in one location. Spiritual powers that fill all Buddha kshetras with a single body. Spiritual powers of unhindered and unfettered play. Spiritual powers that attain effortless self-mastery in a single thought. Spiritual powers that are devoid of inherent existence and cling to nothing. And the last one, spiritual powers that firmly settle ineffably many worlds in succession within a single hairpore, that visit all Buddha's sites of awakening throughout the Dharma realm, and that reveal to and enable all living beings to realize the gateway to great wisdom. Oh boy. Whew. So this is fascinating because it's here we go. Okay. Not there. Okay. All right. Checking here. Hold on, I'll be right with you. Okay. I'm going to check over here. I'm looking for, here we go. Okay. Nope. Try here. Here we go. Okay, let's see here. And okay, right. Okay, there we go. So this is the topic is Shenli, and you could ask what's the difference between Shenli and Shentong, and are they the same? I would probably think, yeah, here, given the way it's defined. So Shentong is psychic powers, psychic abilities. We used to say spiritual penetrations, and that's because Tong in Matthew's Chinese English dictionary was translated as to penetrate. So it became a penetration, but nobody knows what a penetration is. One is a noun, an object is not, some such thing. So we want to go on through the next definition of Matthew's Chinese English Dictionary, which is connected to Shentong, refers to abhijna, which are the Buddha's and Bodhisattva's spiritual abilities, spiritual powers. In the West, we have the idea of psychic powers. That word existed, but of course it wasn't defined the way the Buddha defined it. So it referred to the 6 psychic abilities, 6 spiritual abilities, psychic powers, often connected with the 5 aspects of spiritual vision, not the 5 eyes. So can we say that Shen Li, Li, here, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Here's the first time. There it is right there. So Shen is the same as Shentong, the same spiritual, psychic. God is a noun. It can mean a god or a spirit. The second word, there's just 2 strokes there, is Li, strength. And sometimes translated as power, but used most often is strength. So when I first saw this, I thought, is it talking about qualities of spirituality that the Buddha possesses, his radiance, his virtue, that you feel it when you, they say that when you're in the presence of the Buddha, you're aware of his charisma. That's a word we use. And given that we have 10 definitions of what this is, I think if we just add the word tong here, it connects. This is simply our translator, Venerable Shikshananda, who translated this text, probably was working with the same Sanskrit word, but translated this as li instead of tong, maybe, or maybe it was a different Sanskrit. So let's look at them both and see what you think, whether you can say that this is the same Shentong, the same, referring to the same qualities that Buddhists have, that Shentong is an interchangeable word for what the Bodhisattva wants living beings to get. Okay, let me translate that and come back. 在这里，我们都有10个这是一个回向宴，它的回向宴的题目呢是跟普贤行有缘的，是什么？菩萨省力。省力这里呢，是不是跟神通一样的？那如果是的话，为什么不翻译神通呢？这个是陈南陀翻译这个第80华严的那位大德，他可能看到的那个梵文的这个原本可能是 abhijna 就是神通的意思。神通呢，我们熟悉了，就是六通，有的时候跟那个五眼一起。佛有这个六通那个6种神通的功用，只有佛有第6漏尽通的这个功能，是一样的吗？那如果是一样，为什么没有翻译神通呢？这是有个问题哈。所以怎么解决呢？因为我们没有那个梵文的根本那个本文，所以我们就看它怎么用了。如果我们每次看到力就用再代替通，一样的意思吗？或者不同的？所以就我们再翻译下去，再讲解下去，我们就可以自己决定了。Okay, so let's take a look and see what we think. Is he talking? Is the translator, is Vajra Banner Bodhisattva talking about the same kind of shantong, psychic powers that Buddhists have? It's bodhisattvas in this case. So Maybe the answer is because it's bodhisattvas, and bodhisattvas don't have the same qualities of psychic power, shantong, that Buddhas have. So he's describing a slightly different set that are not the standard Buddha's 五言六通, 6 abhijna, 6 psychic powers, but they're bodhisattvas, similar but different shantong. 可能因为是菩萨所用的这个神通，所以不能说是六通，菩萨跟佛的用的这个神通不一样，佛有全部那个五眼六通，菩萨可以有五通，甚至于他们说魔王也会有五通，鬼有鬼通，龙也有一些神通啊，只有佛正的佛果的人就可以有满分这个五眼六通，因为是菩萨啊，以无照无缚解脱心修普贤恒得一切菩萨神力，所以没有说神通有没有这个分别不知道。OK， 那我们讲下去看看。我们先从英文开始。Let's start with the English, okay, and go on down and see whether you think this is talking about psychic powers, but with a different name because it's bodhisattvas, something like that. Does that make sense? Here we go. May all cultivate Samantabhadra's practices, that's our boilerplate, with a liberated mind free of attachments and bonds, that's our boilerplate, acquiring the spiritual powers of bodhisattvas. He wants living beings to get the powers of bodhisattvas. That's why he's dedicating this merit. What kind? Shen Li, of immense and limitless strength. Okay? Spiritual powers of the boundless wisdom of self-mastery. Here's our word. If you had a top 10 list, we could do that. We could start a top 10 list of Buddhist terms that are difficult to grasp. 自在 would be in that top 10, in the top 5. Self-mastery, what is it? Is it freedom? Is it comfort? Is it free and easy? Is it independence? Is it sovereignty? What is that? So, boundless wisdom, that is the wisdom of self-mastery, or 自在智, the spiritual power of sovereign knowledge, better translation. Yeah, it's not the wisdom of self-mastery, it's self-mastery in knowledge. Boundless 智, 自在智. Okay. Spiritual powers to appear in Buddha lands without moving your physical body. Okay, this is absolutely one of the most astonishing descriptions of that physics doesn't explain in the Avatamsaka Sutra, talking about how bodhisattvas and Buddhas can time travel and do teleportation. It presents it here as if it is just a fact of life, just like gravity and water being wet, that bodhisattvas, there is a quality of cultivation, here it is described as Shen Li, that allows you to show up in other spaces and fully participate and then return without ever moving. So, what do you make of that? Yesterday, in the chapter 39, the Entering the Dharma Realm lecture, Sudana's teacher, whose name is Elder Liberation, talks about Buddhas. He names Buddhas of 10 directions, whom he can see. He sees their lands, the community around them, their bodhisattva leaders in their community, and he says, I can see them all clearly in great detail, and yet they don't come to where I am, and I don't go to where they are. But he can show up and participate there. It's like, that's just fact of life. Once you, as a human being, cultivate the Buddha Dharma and realize this state of accomplishment. So it's very funny to talk about these aspects of reality that we don't have a clue about. I mean, we're just completely passing on the way it works in the Dharma realm when you have this level of accomplishment. So sure enough, put that down on your bucket list. I've done 3. Let's go back and do the Chinese for these. 好了，我们就先，因为有10个，所以我们先讲3个。就说菩萨回向功德说，我愿意用无着无缚解脱先修普贤行，得一切菩萨胜利。我愿意一切众生以无着无缚解脱先修普贤行，得一切菩萨胜利。那就是说，我的意思是说，所谓希望众生得无量广大无量广大利胜利，他们所得的这个胜利就是无量无边的，他们得到无量自在智的胜利就是智他们对于法界，他们对于众生界他们愿意度众生的时候，他们什么都懂，他们有一切智，然后这种神力也是这么奇妙。OK， 还有第3个，各位看看，希望他们得到不动其身，可是都能普现在一切佛刹那种神力。看看。昨天我们在讲那个这个39品这个入法界品，解脱长者教善财童子如何修他那个解脱门，他就说十方佛我都会亲自看到，一清一楚，我会参加他们的法会，他们的道场众会，他们菩萨的灵修我都清楚是谁，我都可以看到。可是呢，他说那些如来不来我这里，我也不去他们那里。他说讲的好像就是事实，好像水就很湿火也很热，这是事实。那么我也可以不动我的身体，可以现在一切佛刹。我有希望，我有这种神力，众生有这种神力。他说 ，OK， 那我们懂得科学的人呢，懂得物理学的人，什么反应了？我们就点点头说：是的，我们的人性，我们的佛性。什么时候修的光明，上诸佛菩萨把它修成了，那个时候有这种的这个 teleportation， 就说好像 science fiction。 Who knows how to, can somebody type in science fiction, that genre of literature in Chinese? I know it exists, The Three Bodies, 三身那本书就是 science fiction。那种那类的文学，那类的书本这个不是 science fiction， 这就是我们身体就说 OK， 林峰科幻小说 good thanks 林峰 OK， 科幻小说这种好像三生那本书哇成功。科幻小说，科学和幻有菩萨他 他呢就说我不是这个话，我就说我们人的自信那个 hard drive 都有这种功能，这是我们没有修成了我们在华严境界普贤恒愿的境界当中，什么时候按照如法去修行，这种能力就是像 gravity 这么实施，这一点都不出奇了这是平常事，甚至于菩萨愿意众生，每个众生都有这个能力。Okay, so the point that I can make about this, because you have to say I have no clue how it works. I know it works. And it not only does it work, it's so commonplace in the description of what bodhisattvas can do that it's taken to be a fact of nature like gravity. That at this level of cultivation, you can teleport and time travel. You can move through different realms to Buddha lands and show up, and you can move through different times. And yet, you don't go anywhere. That's the kicker, right? 不动即身. So, 就说, okay, for Ling Feng and others, do you want to try teleportation and time travel? What are those terms in Chinese? I know they exist. There was recently a very, very successful Chinese science fiction text called The Three Bodies that was so successful, Netflix made it into a series. It really challenged the whole world because it connects to AI and such. So China is not behind in any sense in terms of producing thinkers about psychic powers and time travel and teleportation, etc. So anyway, so this is fascinating, and it's just one of those qualities of the Avatamsaka. Okay, teleportation, 心灵传送 or 时间旅行 okay, 时间旅行还有心灵传送。对了，我们就很多那个科幻小说就把这个事情就说我可以往后边去，到了过去都可以现出来，或者到未来我可以现出来回来现在也不会走错了，不会走丢了，或者我可以去不同的世界同时存在的世界，我可以去知道了，然后回来不会走丢可是呢身体不动，华严经很清楚就说我们人都有这种的未来这个潜能的功能，这个 potential functions are all coded into our nature, but we have to use these methods that are identified with Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's practices and vows and the Avatamsaka Bodhisattva, and we can do these things. And science hasn't a clue, because science depends on limited to the six senses and what can be tested through a machine by multiple testers, intersubjectively testable. So, all right, okay, we'll get there bit by bit. We need someone to cultivate these abilities and then go through the tests. 就说科学需要我们试验如果一个人就说对了，我可以时间旅行，我可以心灵传送，我可以在这个时候在呼吸气，然后呢也可以往过去我可以往未来，而且回来自己的身体也不动， 我有这个能力，然后科学能试验这个人，用的机器来不同的人、不同的科学家来试验这个人，得到同样的结果，那就可以接受。如果不能这样子的话，不能这样子试验，恐怕不存在。你不对了，我们不接受。好了，科学是有它的用处，就是有它的限量。Okay, let's move on. What else we got? We would like every living being to receive my dedication of merit so that they can accomplish spiritual powers of unobstructed and uninterrupted self-mastery. 希望众生的受到我的回向的愿的话，他们得到无碍不断自在神力，无碍不断自在。自在已经说，你开一个名单，我们就说，汉传佛教里边10个，就说10个用语，10个法，最不好翻译的，最不好了解。你从第1到第10，最10个最不好翻的名相，自在一定是在前5个，或者不是第1啊，如来可能是头5个还有境界，还有自在这些个字，这个不容易明白不过很重要，很重要。就是自在神通，逍遥自在所以就说无碍不断自在神力。师父玄华上人他就说 comfort， 他说 comfort。那我们跟师父说 comfort， 师父 comfort 也可以 comfort。我们都想到一个 chaise lounge， 就是游泳池旁边。你打穿那个游泳衣在那儿晒太阳很 comfortable， 那不对了，不是这种 comfort。他说也有一部分 ，OK， 那有一部分，可是自在很不容易翻。So at one point, Master Hua translated 自在 as comfort for us in English. He gave us the English word, and I said I was one of the team translating. And said, sure, it's comfort. When I hear the word comfort, I think of a chaise lounge by the swimming pool with sunblock on and dark glasses and a drink with a slice of lime on the edge. And that's comfort, ice cubes. And it's like, is that really it? It has to be more than that. So comfort, this is the challenge of translation, because why? Words have resonance in the culture. So gun, roots there is a portion of it. If you need a Venn diagram overlapping, so 30% roots of a tree, but 60% other qualities that beyond roots, like qualities, like characteristics, like aspects. So 自在 free comfort is one. Freedom is one. It's too bad because you'd think 自由 in English is freedom, but freedom doesn't. To my mind, freedom would be much better than comfort, but that's not what Shifu said. So 自由, freedom is not a. So this gets really interesting because in translation, here we go. We're gonna copy this. We have our notes page. Here we go. Notes to chapter 10 Transferences. Here we are. 自在. Okay. 自在. Let's see if we can copy the romanization. 自在. Okay. Now, why can't we say 自由 what's different between 自在 and 自由? The question is, oops, YOU, here we go, YOU. People say in Chinese, 自由 is not an important, it doesn't completely match what freedom means in English. Okay, so freedom. When you say 自由 in Chinese, people have different connections. You're better off, if you really want to communicate the idea of freedom in what it means in the West, you're better off with a word like 解脱 or 解放 or 自在, sort of. So the question is here, 解脱 here, 解脱. 解放 also has a special meaning in Chinese. 解放军, right? 解放. So how do you, the question, this is the point in going in this direction is to say, translation, you have to check the culture. What are the cultural resonances that people at this time hear when they hear a word? So if you go to an average person in Beijing or Hute or Nanjing or Shenzhen, and you say, translate freedom, they don't get 自由, or what does freedom mean to you? There's different resonances. If you go to somebody on the streets of Louisville, Kentucky, or Dallas, Texas, or Seattle, and say, tell me about freedom, you're going to get a very different set of resonances and meanings. So the challenge here is translating 自在. What does it mean for 菩萨自在? In this case, it is, take a look, unobstructed, it was up here, unobstructed, unceasing 自在. How does that work in English? How do we translate that? What we have in our translation group is sovereign self-mastery. That's the best one we got. So sovereign, is that correct? The idea being that you are in charge and sovereign, there we go, EIG, there we go, 2 E's. You're in charge. You're not pushed around by your bad habits. Karma doesn't compel you. You are free of karma, free of habits, free of ignorance, free of obstructions. That's the idea of 自在. And you're free over and over without any obstructions, and it never stops. That's your shen li, your spiritual power, okay? So it's the spiritual powers of unobstructed, uninterrupted self-mastery. You've mastered yourself. That's a pretty good translation. You have mastered yourself. The self, the constructed ego, that is an aspect of ignorance, doesn't boss you around. But look at all the words it took to get that clear, right? So complicated here. Let's see here. Okay, light ease. Yeah, but that's only in meditation. Light ease is... Okay, so let me translate here. 我们这个自在哈，师父翻译说 comfort， 那我们就说，可是英文他们就说身体就是舒服 ，comfort 就是舒服。自在有很多，那可能是30%， 可是还有60%，还有70%，就不一样了，不是身体的舒服，还有没有障碍，没有无明，没有业力，都包括在内。comfort 不听业力，不听你的业障，不听你的这个业报循环，所以这个是很复杂的。我用一个比喻，就说如果你就说什么叫用中文什么叫 freedom 自由，很多中国人据我所知道的不会说自由是很重要，西方人认为自由非常非常非常重要那么解脱也有一部分，解放也有一部分，没有障碍也有一部分。So 没有 ，Let's see here， 没有任何没有是不是任何障碍？Let's see here. I'm running out of my 无碍不断 OK， 没有任何障碍，没有任何烦恼。Here we go. Okay. There we go. 烦恼，没有任何烦恼。OK，So 就是 freedom。那算不算自在呢？一样吗？要看那个文化，要看那个时代，要看那个大家的这种他们的学问呢，就知道这个字在这个时候，在这个时代是什么意思，才能够真正翻译。所以我就说，我们就有开一个名单，就说10个字最不好翻译，最不好了解在佛教汉传佛教的这个名相用语里边，自在一定是排到10个里边的。So you get the point. If we were to write our list of 10 most challenging Mahayana terms to translate, 自在 would definitely be in that top 10, maybe the top 5. All right, so we didn't get very far today. That's our notes. We'll continue here. I only have one more page of text prepared here, so we'll have to catch up. But we stopped right there, and we will continue at that spot and appreciate the incredible complexity of a 9th transference bodhisattva as he or she practices generosity to living beings. Indeed, indeed. 好了，我们就到这边。我们没有翻译的，没有讲解很多，就是现在我们知道菩萨有这种的很微细、很微妙的回向的愿，复杂的很非常有意思然后我觉得那个10种佛教的用语名相一个名额名单，这是好办法。我们we'll prepare that for next week. We're going to come up with our 10 most challenging translation terms, and we'll work on them because they keep coming up over and over. 那10个呢，台湾都常常回来了，我们都会在这10个用功用力慢慢的我们对我们所了解的佛法这个华严经都会进步。So if we can get our list of 10 and understand them, keep every time they pop up, they come up over and over again. So every time they do, we will our understanding of the Mahayana Dharma improve, will progress. All right. So we are looking at Master Xuanzang's story coming up here. He is in the Buddha's territory. He is in he's just passed through Kapilavastu, where, okay, there we go, where the prince grew up. Let's see here. Here we have Kapilavastu, Dragon Pool. Okay, right there. That was Rama Grama last week. Okay. There was the caretaker. Okay, this is where we've reached the spot where the Buddha left home, jumped over the palace wall, said goodbye to his horse. That was as important as saying goodbye to his family. Cut off his hair, went out into the woods. Okay, that's where Master Xuanzang is seeing these things 1,000 years closer than we did, but he is still 1,000 years behind the Buddha. 玄奘大师是佛后1000年，他那些故事还在。就是现在他在他的那个这个剃头，他出了家，可是没有正式出了家，他就离开家，他就离开皇宫，跟他的那匹马就说再见。哦，那不好，真的是一种痛苦的离别，可能跟他的太太离别一样痛心的事情，就到了深山里面去修行So, Kushinagara, here it is. Let's take a look. Here we go. Maps. Kushinagara is in Nepal. Uttar Pradesh. Okay, here it is. Siddhartha Guest House. Buddha Temple. This is the spot. Where is it? Mother Dairy Ice Cream. Royal Thai Temple. Kushinagara. There we are. Okay. Nepal 在这儿。那个时候可能那个国家的边际不一定是在这儿，可能。然后有Patna在这儿，然后就是在这里那兰达。所以玄奘大师离开他的目的地呢不远不远。现在这是Kushinagara那个地方。Okay, there's Nepal. This is India. Where's China? China's right over here. 中国就在隔壁Okay. So let's see here. 出此林以至居士那揭罗国。对了，初级荒埂城内东北隅，有速度波无有往所见，准托故宅。柴中有井，将应先公时早也。水有成印，城西北3、4里，渡阿什多法底河。In the southeast corner of the city, a stupa built by King Ashoka marked the old house of Chunda. Inside the house, the water in the well, dug for the purpose of making offerings to the Buddha, was still clear and fresh 1,000 years. 3 or 4 li to the northwest of the city, he crossed the Ajitavati River. Not far along, he reached the Sala Grove. The Sala trees were like the oak with a greenish bark and white leaves, very smooth. There were 4 pairs of Sala trees of the same height at the place where the Tathagata entered Nirvana. OK， 次旁河侧不远之梭罗林，起树似虎耳平清叶白，善光润，四双齐高，其润来涅槃出也。这是佛陀入涅槃的地方，离他出生的地方不远，所以有机会朝拜佛的这个圣地，印度佛在印度的圣地就是这些地方。So you can see that the Sala Grove, where the Buddha entered Nirvana, is not far from Kapilavastu, where he was born. So people who have an opportunity to visit the Buddha's holy sites, it's all up here in the northwest. Okay. 有大专精舍，众有如来涅槃之相，北首而卧。旁有大苏度钵，高而8余尺，无有王所造。有立施柱，即佛涅槃时，不书念乐。In a large brick temple was an image of the Tathagata in the posture of entering nirvana, with its head lying towards the north. Beside the temple was a large stupa more than 200 feet high. Can you imagine how tall that is? Built by King Ashoka. He also erected a stone pillar in which was inscribed the event of the Buddha's nirvana, but no date was there. Okay. Kushinagara. Here we are. This is the current state of the site. There we go. There's the stupa. 就是现代的这个情形状况，在 Kushinagara。呀，就是这个宝塔。Here's the stupa. Okay. 上传云佛处世80年，以废舍伽月后半15日入涅槃。当此2月15日，说一切有部复云。佛以迦拉底迦月后半入涅槃，当此9月8日。自涅槃以来，或运1200岁，或1300，或1500，或运过900，未满1000年。It was said in tradition that the Buddha lived for 80 years and entered nirvana on the 15th day of the second half of the month Vaishakha, corresponding to the 15th day of the second month of our calendar. But Sarvastivadins said the Buddha entered nirvana on the 8th day of the second half of the month Kartika, corresponding with the 8th day of the 9th month of our calendar. It had been 1,200 years since the Buddha's nirvana, while some people said it had been 1,500 years, others said 900, but less than 1,000 years. Okay. So, the way we in California have, every time it's Buddha's birthday, we have the opportunity to attend many Buddhist birthday ceremonies, bathing the Buddha ceremonies. Likewise, people disagree over the date of the Buddha's nirvana. So we're looking back 2,500 years. It's no surprise that that would be a challenge. So you can see when Master Xuanzang was there, they were already in disagreement. So 1,000 years after that, now, we haven't got any more clarity than we did then. So the fact that Master Xuanzang is able to visit these places and tell us about what was going on then, it's astonishing. And it was very accurate. It's like as if the curtains of time just part and we get to look straight back 1,000 years to see what he was seeing 1,000 years after the Buddha's nirvana. 就说玄奘大师他的笔记呢很准，我们就在1000年前可以看他接着他的眼睛看到他所看到的，就是佛入涅槃1200年后，所以这个有一点 teleportation， 就是时间旅行，时间旅游。Let's dedicate merit. Here we go. Make a wish like a bodhisattva, like they do, and bit by bit we can become like them. Here we go. We can bow to Guanyin Bodhisattva together. Here we go. First bow. Yi Wenxun. Zai Wenxun. San Wenxun. Okay. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. One bow. Second bow. And third bow. That's going to do it for us for today. We'll see you all next week, everybody. Amitofo. Bye now.
Thank you, Subhasir.